What's up everyone, welcome to the channel, I'm Steven. Dehancer hit me up recently wanting me to do a tutorial and review about their plugin. And if you don't know what Dehancer is, let me explain a little bit. Dehancer is a third-party plugin which allows you to create film-like color grades and film effects in DaVinci Resolve, Final Cut, and now After Effects and Premiere Pro. Now just to be clear, this video isn't sponsored by Dehancer team, and I'm not getting paid for this review. So everything about it here is my honest take. In this video, I'll be showing you how to use Dehancer in Final Cut Pro to create a stunning film look and guide you through some of the amazing controls it has. Plus, if you're considering adding Dehancer to your toolkit, be sure to use my discount code down in the description to get a 10% off. Enjoy this video. Okay, we're here in Final Cut Pro and I'm gonna show you my video color grading workflow with Dehancer Pro. We have some clip I shot during the summer, so all I need to do is to drag the Dehancer Pro to the timeline, to the clip I want to edit on. Right after you drag the Dehancer Pro to your clip, you will notice that the image doesn't really look right. It looks very blue, very green, or it looks very plain and it has lots of grain on it. This is because it has already enabled some of the settings for you, but without any color space transformation. So all you have to do is to disable some of the settings for now. So the film, expand, print profile, film grain, and we're gonna start from very beginning. So the first thing you need to do after you apply this plugin is to transform your color space to Rec 709. So the source, you need to choose your own color space based on your camera. So for me, my camera is Sony a7 III, so all I need to do is to select my camera setting, so Alpha 7 III, and my format is the input format. Mine is S-Log3, S-Gamma, Cine, so let's choose that. So right after that, you can see it accurately transformed the color space to Rec 709. One thing I like about this is I think it transformed color better than the official color space transformation LUT provided by Sony or the Final Cut transformation LUT. It does way better than these two because it doesn't really have any color shift after the transformation, and I really like that. And now let's collapse these settings first, and I'm gonna show you my workflow on how to color grade these clips. So as you can see, there are lots of options right here, and it doesn't really go in order of usual color grading processes. Usually I will go from input to film, and then I just jump to the print section. And after that, I'll go back to film developer, then film compression, and then expand, and then the rest of the others. So I'll tell you why. So first of all, the film. The film is the presets of the color, just like the Lightroom presets. It provides you tons of film presets they've provided and studied based on the real film stocks. I'll go with 50D. And then you can play around with this push and pull slider because every film stock does behave differently if you pull or push the exposure. So you can always make it warmer or cooler based on your preference, and I'm gonna go a little warmer here. And then let's jump into the print section first. So here you can choose your like the film finish of the final results. So it has Cine film log, Fujifilm, Kodak Endura, glossy paper. I'm gonna go with Fujifilm. So the reason why I jumped from film to print is because what you're gonna do is you want to make sure that the color is what you want and your contrast is all set before you do any minor adjustment. So for example, if you choose Kodak Endura glossy paper, you'll notice that the contrast is being increased. So if you already done the film developer process, so for example, if you already done the contrast setting in here, like here you already done the contrast, and then you go to print section and choose the glossy paper, you will notice that it's a little overdone in contrast. So for the better grading processes, I recommend you guys to just go straight into print profile and select your favorite print finishes. So for example, I'm gonna go with Fujifilm 3513 to make sure the other factors doesn't affect your contrast anymore. And then we're gonna go back to film developer sections and see how it goes with the contrast. So let's go back to film developer then, and then we're gonna enable it and try to make it look more contrasty. Right here, so you will notice that this clip is a little bit overexposed. If you want to adjust the exposure, you can always change it in the input section. And then, so the film developer, again, the gamma correction always adjusts the focus of your contrast. So if you want to make the overall gamma lands on the brighter part, you can pull it to the right, or you can make it lands more on the darker area, you can just pull it to the left. I will make it looks darker a little bit and increase the contrast a little bit. And I will usually use the color boost to increase my overall saturation without really crushing every color. And right that. And you can see it already did something to emulate the overall film color that looks very filmic. So all I just did were choose the film and the print finish. So I didn't really do anything, but it just turns out pretty good looking. So next, let's jump into film compression. I always like to enable this setting because it always brings you that organic look in film. It pulls back the highlight in your image and make the overall image looks organic. Look at that. And then I'll go to expand if I want to adjust the black point or the white point in this image. And right now I feel pretty good about this, so I don't want to do that. I kind of feel I want to increase the tonal contrast for the finish, so let's do that here. And we're gonna pull up the gamma a little bit. Let's make some minor adjustment. After that, let's go ahead and check out the color hat. So I'll try my best to explain what this does. So the first three tabs, it's similar to the color separation if you're familiar with. DaVinci Resolve is like the color different, it separates the color and you can adjust each of them separately. However, I don't think the color separation here does a really good job in really manipulating every color because it doesn't work as intuitively as the tools in DaVinci Resolve or other plugins. But I think it's way more intuitive for the shadow tone, midtones, and highlight tone because it's very, easy to use, and it separates really well. So for like if you want to make your shadow warmer, you see it's working really well to the image, and I don't really want to change any of that because I think it looks pretty good already. So after all these settings I've already done, we're gonna jump into these tabs right here. And I think this is where Dehancer gets really interesting because it doesn't really emulate the color of the film. It actually gives you that characteristics of the film. So first of all, let's talk about the film grain. So film grain basically gives you that that film texture, the grainy look of actual film. So I usually go with 35 millimeters ISO 50 because it gives you that grainy texture but not too harsh. And next, I will usually go to bloom, and I usually go with 35 or 65 to give you that subtle diffusion for the overlook image. And for the halation, I don't recommend you to use it on every clip because I think it only applies perfectly when you're shooting low light or when you're shooting night scenes. So for this clip, I'll just leave it disabled because I don't want that harsh halation to show on these peoples in front of my subject. So I'm just leave it right there. And now let's go to film damage. This is the place where you can add the scratches and dust to your clip. I really like this setting because I think it adds that extra flavor to your clip when you're watching it, especially when I enable it. You can already see that there's the little scratches. It may not be obvious in 35. I'm gonna put it in 8mm for you to see. It may not look very obvious from this video, but if you look closely, you can see that scratches like here and here can add that little, extra filmic look to your image. Next, the film breath. Film breath often gives you that shaky feeling when you're looking at a video projected by a projector. So it emulates that feeling, but I personally don't really like it, so I would just leave it disabled as well. Gate weave is kind of like a camera movement when you're shooting film. I think it does a pretty similar thing to the film breath, and I'm not really into extra camera movement, so I just leave these two settings disabled. And next, let's go to overscan. So overscan is just like, it's exactly the same as what I explained in the Lightroom tutorial. So it just adds that little frame to your clip, and you can always choose Super 16 or widescreen. One thing I like about this is I often like to scale it up to make it look like a more natural border, just like this. So it adds a little wavy border to your image, but not taking up too much space in your clip. So I really like to set it this way so that the clip will look more interesting. And besides that, I like to add slight vignette to my clip. There's really nothing special about this setting, but I just like to use vignette to emphasize my subject and darken all the color around the subject so that it looks more, more contrasty and makes the subject more popped out. So that's just my habits of using vignette. You don't have to do this because it doesn't really have that much impact compared to other settings. There's one tip I want to give it to you guys is that you probably should enable these film grain, halation, bloom, film damage, these settings before you color grade the image, because these will not only impact your overall look of your image, it will also make the replay very laggy. It might be just my own computer problem, but it really takes up the computer performance when you enable these film grain and bloom. So if I turn them on, you can notice instantly that the replay looks very laggy. Just like that. However, if you turn them off, it looks way smoother than when they're on. So I do recommend to color grade everything before enabling these special effects. And now I think the clip looks pretty good to me, and that's how I basically graded S-Log 3 using Dehancer Pro. The pricing of Dehancer is important for you to decide whether you really need this plugin. On Dehancer.com, a 3-month license will cost you $149, and the lifetime purchase goes up to $449. Now, this pricing I think will be pretty frustrating because it is very costly if you want to just try it out starting with 3 months. And $449 isn't cheap either for individual creators like me. However, this plugin is still one of the kind and uniquely stands out. If you look at the film emulation tools in the market, they mainly achieve the film looks in 3 ways: LUTs, no presets in DaVinci Resolve, and plugins. I tried all of them and I decided to stick to plugins since LUTs are hard to get personalized and no trees are limited to DaVinci Resolve, which is an editing software that usually requires higher performance from my computer and have more confusing settings in the whole process than Final Cut Pro. So unlike LUTs and no trees, plugins, especially the Dehancer plugin, can get the same level of personalization as the no trees and tweaks across multiple platforms with videos and photos, making my life a lot easier. All being said, Dehancer's editing experience is definitely worth the price. Even though the pricing is not friendly for beginners and individual creators, it will still unlock your creativity once you decide to give it a shot. Before you pay for anything, you can always download the free version of Dehancer Pro from the Dehancer.com and try it out with simple stuff. If you like it afterwards, you can choose to buy the Pro license using my code Steven23 for a 10% discount. That's all for this review. If you like this video, please hit the subscribe and like button for more videos like this. Catch you guys up in the next one. Thanks for watching.